Saeed's coming up as well, right? Saeed's coming up as well. Good afternoon. Welcome to this presentation about Diriyah, the City of Earth. My name is Kieran Haslam. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for the project, which is based in the capital city of Riyadh in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I'm joined on stage today with my colleague Naif, who's going to talk a little bit more about the specifics of Diriyah and what it means to the travel and tourism industry as of this moment in time and then beyond into the future as the city is fully developed and fully operational. However, I'd just like to take a quick moment to say thank you to Mesa Berlin, thank you to ITB, thank you to our wonderful engineers, sound technicians, and camera operators as well for being able to bring this and stream this to all of the viewers. They've been working very, very hard with us because we've done the usual, which is last-minute changes to the presentation. But it's all in the spirit of trying to impart the right meaning and the right content to show you what's taking place in Diriyah today. So firstly, I wanted to just talk a little bit about Diriyah and where it is, which is in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It looks like this as an iconic representation because you're looking at the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Naif. This is the birthplace of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and it goes back in time all the way to the year 400, when a tribe arrived into the location and established the makings of the first agricultural settled society. This is a very, very important thing, and if we stay on this screen, I'll explain why. If you look at the entirety of the Arabian Peninsula and you go back to that period in time, which predates existing borders as we know them today across this magnificent landmass, you have this focal point right in the heart, which is the birthplace of not just the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but it's one which sets in motion an expectation of society and a system of agricultural society operating that delivers a real significance, richness, and meaning to what it means to be Saudi. And so from the year 400 until the year 1446, Diriyah is established in 1446 through nomenclature as a specific location across the Arabian Peninsula. And from 1446 all the way until 1727, you end up with the first Saudi state being established here in Diriyah, in this specific location. And if we jump to the next screen, please, Naif, the reason for this being is that when that tribe originally migrated from the west to Diriyah, what they stumbled across was an incredible natural resource of fresh running water and very, very fertile soil. And so from this prosperity came the societal structures and a location which saw in excess of 30,000 people co-inhabiting this location known as Diriyah. This is around the UNESCO World Heritage Site that we have today. And what we have done is taken this UNESCO World Heritage Site as our shining central beacon, our point of recall, our point of promise. And we've taken this history and we've sort of looked at what we could do to create a futuristic city where we could redefine what urban living is like, what a quality of life proposition is like, and take this reference point from several hundred years ago in this location. And so what we have is we've established a 14 square kilometer city of Earth. We call this Diriyah the City of Earth. This 14 square kilometers sits around the UNESCO World Heritage Site. And across these 14 square kilometers, to give you a system of reference, that's 6.5 times the size of Monaco. We're building that with the first half due to be completed by the end of 2027 and the second half due to be completed by 2030 in time for the World Expo, which will be hosted in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This location, though, is very, very significant because if you go back 265 years, what you found was a location that celebrated not just justice and prosperity, but wealth and power and influence. It had the first school for both male and female studying celestial movement and astronomy, which is what they used for the agricultural resource and harvesting. But also it had the first treasury building across the Arabian Peninsula that was minting its own refranked currency and using it as common currency across the peninsula. So these are all things which demonstrate to us, well, there's a lesson in this on how we can develop this futuristic city. And the lesson is, how do we really become meaningful and significant in cultural exchange? And if we stay on this theme for a moment, I just want to talk about what this 14 square kilometer, $64 billion giga project is trying to do. It's trying to take a quality of life proposition on meaningful cultural significance and meaningful cultural exchange, and it's trying to deliver this in a modern urban environment. So to do that, what we have done is we have excavated 45 meters deep, 3.5 kilometers long and 1.8 kilometers wide to extract 12.3 million cubic meters of rock. And we have created a multitude of levels underground. This is the largest subterranean complex infrastructure in the world. And we have completed this infrastructure build. And at the moment, we are topping off this infrastructure build. And why did we do that? It wasn't to take life and put it underground. It was to do exactly the opposite. It was to take everything that would detract from a meaningful life, a pedestrian, walkable environment, and put it underground. So we have B-1, B-2, B-3, and on the lowest level, we have 3 metro stations connecting you across the Diriyah master plan. Now above ground, what we have is 22,500 residential homes, 1.6 million square meters of commercial office space, in excess of 1,200 food and beverage and retail propositions. We have in excess of 40 academies, workshops, and museums, 10 iconic assets, and 37 of some of the greatest hotels that exist in the world today, who are all part of our master plan. And the idea is to make this an entirely walkable proposition. So you go from your hotel to the museum. If you're living in Diriyah, you can go to your local school to drop your kids off. You can go to the dentist. You can pick up your supplies from the store, and you can enjoy an evening meal. And the concept is to take a 15-minute city and to make it intensely pedestrian. From this, we have a very interesting promise to the city, which is that the entire code of the city is based on an architecture unique to this location in Najd, and it's called Najdi architecture. And the code and the building code is to empower the historical attributes of this Najdi architecture and to take it forward in time. So we have an exterior building facade, which is Adobe mud brick construction. There's so many benefits to this from a sustainability perspective, thermal efficiency perspective, but also it creates this incredible iconic experience of a futuristic city that really very much looks like the past. And so with this, we're always trying to create this meaningful exchange, and we believe very strongly that the quality of life of what Diriyah will eventually be, with in excess of 200,000 inhabitants, attracting more than 50 million visitors annually by 2030. This city of Earth is a very exciting proposition. And for the inhabitants of the city, we often challenge ourselves and think, what would this be like 20 years from today? Would we find lower rates of childhood obesity? Would we find higher propensity for a career couple to raise a young family? These are the things that measure happiness, and with happiness is a quality of life proposition. And so this meaningful cultural exchange is very important because it also allows us to amplify what it means to be uniquely Saudi, what that identity is for the many 30+ million Saudis that want to talk about their origins and their story. And we amplify this to the world through this city and through this experience. And we are already welcoming many visitors because, as you can imagine, you don't just build a city, wait till it's completely finished, and then pull the sheets off it and say, come. We are opening assets every day, groundbreaking and completing components of the city and operating them every day. So we already have a dining district, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, several museums, and a very compelling art futures experience, and our first of 37 hotels, which is a luxury collection, Bab Samhan Experience Hotel as well, which is a nod to our heritage and an understanding that we can start to unlock some of the pedestrian behavior because it's just a few minutes stroll away from the UNESCO World Heritage Site. So I'm going to play a little video which talks about all of this and gives you a little bit more drama, and then I'm going to hand over to my colleague Naif to go into some detail about Diriyah, the City of Earth.
Where could the future take us? A place ahead of time? Where time is scarce and technology is our only interface with the world? Intimidating or beyond imagination? But what if we could keep soaring towards the future, keeping our feet firmly on the ground? Walking to a new social fabric that cherishes what matters most, our human spirit, our legacy. A life filled with the satisfaction found in the smallest of joys, where we can watch our kids and grandchildren relive our very own childhood values. A city with a future that reaches far into our past, to weave in a rich culture of Saudi traditions into our everyday lives. Where you will find a home that allows us to slow down in a fast-paced world so we can write our own stories and create meaningful exchanges with those around us. A space that helps us go beyond, to grow, ideate, create, and flourish. This is how we are designing and building our future. This is the City of Earth. This is Diriyah.
Okay, so thank you, Karen, for that. So basically, just to give a bit of a detailed overview of Diriyah, if you can go to the next slide. So this is actually the overview city of Riyadh, where, Diriyah is on the outskirts northwest of Riyadh. You can see it's highlighted a bit in the darker color. So you're talking about 7 minutes from the downtown of Riyadh in the financial district. Then you're talking about 25 minutes from the airport itself. Going a bit to the next slide, actually focusing on more figures. Kieran did not shy away from sharing all those figures. However, just a couple things to note. This is a massive development, to be honest. We're not just creating, a whole, cultural mixed-use destination. No, we're going beyond that. We're trying to hit on quality of life. We're trying to create indirect jobs of 178,000 plus. We're talking about contributing a huge GDP of almost $18 billion annually. So there's a lot to be done. And for us, we have another video that I'd like to showcase to you that talks more about the actual progression of the project, what's happening. You saw a promotional video about the project, but this showcases what has been done because we're not waiting for 2030 for it to open. A lot has happened, and the visitors are coming in. So if we can go to the next slide, showcase the video. So as you can see, a lot is going on. We've been doing a lot. We've delivered, I think, God knows how many events over the last, years. With that being said, we want to deep a little bit more dive in. What do we do actually? It's not just about those events that we do, but we have this kind of annual festivity every year that we do to celebrate our culture and heritage, and bringing that so that users can, experience it now and not having to wait all the way to 2030. So this Diriyah seasons, every year we do this, let's say, a series of events. And it's all about either reviving a certain heritage site or bringing something new, fusing with the culture that we have in Diriyah. So one of those events that we did, and it just ended last week, was Souk Wonders. And basically that was combining and fusing a new idea by bringing in international tier 1 production house, Dragon, coming in from Belgium, now based in Vegas, and creating a Cirque du Soleil kind of experience, but taking in the vibe of the typography of Diriyah itself with its heritage and culture. So visitors would come in, they would actually immerse themselves in this show. Instead of being in a seated show, we're watching acrobats and performance artists and all. No, they would immerse themselves, roam around, and at the same time, between the acts, they would actually take tokens, and those tokens, they would exchange it with the F&B outlets there, with more than 15 outlets from local cuisines to international cuisines. So I'll show you a video here that showcases that experience. So the great thing about this, actually, before going into the next event, was that it brought a nice way of how to fuse, bringing international artists and international caliber, but also fusing it with the local talents, the local community, and trying to do something different. And it actually hit with it resulted with a 50% occupancy rate across each show. Another event that was quite unique is what we call Diriyah Nights. Diriyah Nights is basically taking over a heritage farm in which there's more than 500 palm trees, and it's reviving it and creating an immersive experience with F&B and culinary kind of experiences, along with some cultural art installations. And people can escape that concrete jungle of Riyadh and come and just chill and socialize with their, with their family and community, within that area. So this is just a quick video to snap of the experience itself.
Welcome to Diriyah.
And then lastly, another event that was quite interesting and unique. So if we go back to our Arab roots and culture, storytelling is quite a unique aspect to our culture, or especially oral narrations. Most of the stories that you hear in Diriyah and our, and even in the whole Arab culture, it's passed on through oral narration. More than 70% of that data comes to that. So from that insight, we said, okay, we need to create this kind of platform of a storytelling festival where we can invite more than 150 local and regional speakers, invite them with the community, do workshops, talk about storytelling, the different ways that they can enhance their storytelling operations. So whether it could be through movies, through script writing, through books, whatever it may be. So that was something that we invited. It was over a course of 10 days where we had more than 32 workshops, more than 5 full-day panel discussions. And not only that, we had a novel book fair, plus a culinary experience in which we brought out a local chef that would take stories, whether from movies or from anime or even books, and create those dishes that are there and narrate the actual story as he created those dishes for the audience there. It was quite engaging. If you want to play the video, Kieran, just to showcase the experience. So as mentioned, a lot is going on. We do a lot of these events, and it's really pushing, again, how can we bring that heritage and culture and celebrate it today. So today is not just the UNESCO Heritage Site or the sites that are open, it's beyond that. Now we actually have more than 5 different offerings between the UNESCO Heritage Site, the Bajeri Tourist Center, you have the Diriyah season with all its events, you have the hotel which is up and running, the Arts Future Museum that Kieran mentioned earlier. So there's a lot. It's now a 2-night destination. And we've so far welcomed over 2.9 million visitors as of the last 2 years. And just a lot is going on. So we welcome you to come visit us in our booth and to come and experience it and share with you what we have.
So I thank you for that, Naif, and for the explanation going into detail. I think the important thing here that we wanted to emphasize at ITB this year is that one of the things about building a destination which is extremely compelling is to build it for the right reasons and for the right audience in mind. And authenticity is really key to everything that we do in Diriyah. I can give you a few reference points of this authenticity. If you take a look at this 14 square kilometer master plan, just over 2.5 square kilometers is a natural wadyscape that's been repopulated. And over the last 6 years, we've repopulated that with in excess of 6.5 million varietals of indigenous species to bring the wadi back to life. This is important because it's that level of detail, saying this is an indigenous plant. We use archaeobotanists to help us identify the indigenous varietals to repopulate around the project. In addition to that, we have a very, very specific lighting code in Diriyah, and you'll notice that from a lot of the video content that you see. Very warm ambient lighting at 2700K, which is the entire lighting code across the city. In addition to what I explained earlier with adobe mud brick construction and the identity of Najdi architecture as well. So all of this gives you a very compelling feeling. You do feel like you've stepped back in time, yet you're stepping into the future with what an urban development could be like. And in there, travel and tourism is absolutely key. It's a commitment that we have as one of the big projects in the world today to relook at how GDP can come away from other areas and move accordingly along with the travel and tourism industry. We know that job creation is intense. You have 37 million people in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. 24.5 million are under the age of 34. We're looking at what happens with the workforces coming on stream. We're very proud of our organization. You saw in some of the content all of the tower cranes. We have 82 tower cranes currently in operation. We have 37,000 people on site, building across 3 shifts every day. We have 3,500 people in our headquarters, and 85% of our employees are all Saudi. 14% of which are all from our local community in Diriyah. We're also very, very pleased with the equality that we have in our workforce as well, which is a great indication of the direction of travel that the Kingdom has been on. And I'm pleased to say that 36% of our staff are female, and that 16% of those are in a senior leadership position as well. So there's a very, very joined up, well thought out component to how we're bringing this project to life. And one of the things that we're always trying to do is to create these meaningful and authentic experiences so that when you come, you're experiencing something that you can only experience in Diriyah. Even in our retail space, we've got over 1,200 retailers that will be across the master plan. We've established together with Pantone the shade of the mud-colored architecture you find in our UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is a Pantone color called Diriyah Tan. And with a lot of the retail providers, they're looking at creating products that consumers can purchase when in Diriyah and that they can't purchase anywhere else. And so we're always trying to look at what makes us unique and makes us a very compelling experience to come and be part of. So thank you for that. Thank you to Naif. And if there are any questions, I'm willing to take some questions. If there aren't, well, then I'd ask if you could do two things for me. If you could put your round of hands together and applause for the sound guys, for the wonderful Maria who's been helping us to arrange today, and also for the camera operator as well. Thank you very much for having us, and we invite you to the stand. We invite you to come and visit us in Diriyah. I think you can come and hear the promises at the stand, but it'd be much better if you came and saw it for yourself in person in Saudi Arabia. So you're welcome.